Today we have the poem A Walk by Moonlight by Henry Louis Vivian Derozio. Derozio is one of the foremost Anglo Indian poets of India. He was a radical thinker and poet. At the age of 17, he was appointed a professor of literature at the Hindu college. He had followers who he collected a group of followers who questioned traditions, customs, superstitions, and fought for the right of students to education, right of all children to education. His ideas were so radical that he soon lost his position as a professor because it was feared that he had too much influence. So now this is a poem with which every young student can relate. And the speciality about this poem is that this is written by a child or a student just like you. Now this is in a textbook for 11th and 12th grade ICSE. The poet himself was 18 years old when he wrote this poem. And here he describes a circumstance or a situation which is every day seen in the lives of all children. He describes an event where he went out to meet a few friends. And as all young teenagers, they hang out in cafes or certain favorite places. They have fun, joke, talk. And he was coming back. And then he is contemplating on this situation or on the feelings that this particular day arose in him. So let's see the poem. Last night it was a lovely night, and I was very blessed. Shall it not be for memory a happy spot to rest? Here the poet says that last night he felt very blessed, and he knows that those hours are going to stay in his memory as something very happy, a happy memory for him to treasure forever. Here itself, we see that the poet is going to start with beautiful imagery. Yes, there are in the backward past soft hours to which we turn, hours which at distance mildly shine, shine on but never burn. Here we see metaphor, both imagery and metaphor. These are the two poetic devices used. The poet says that in the backward past, there will be so many memories that will shine on in our life. They do not burn intensely, but rather shine, providing that light, that gentle happiness. And some of these, but yesternight, across my path were thrown, which made my heart so very light, I think it could have flown. So here he says that I too had these kind of memories which made my very heart float with lightness. This reminds us of Wordsworth's Daffodils, where the poet says, when oft upon my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. The image of the daffodils, that thought brings back a beautiful memory to the poet, and he becomes tranquil, he becomes almost spiritual, we can say. And Derozio also says that this memory makes him feel like a mystic, so light at heart. Derozio was a romantic poet, and he read the works of his contemporaries like Keats, Shelley, Byron, Wordsworth. All of them were his contemporaries, and he was greatly influenced by them. He too wrote at the same period in the 1800s. I had been out to see a friend with whom I others saw, like minds to like minds ever tend, a universal law. He had been to see some friends, and he says that we were all of a like mind. And he says it is a universal law that people who think alike are together. Your own friends are with you for a particular reason. You all have the same sort of thoughts and your philosophy. The poetry, the philosophy that attracts you would be similar. And that is here he gives us the importance of friendship, how we make our own tribe, we have our own vibe, and we gather. The birds of a feather flock together. The happiness found in friendship is celebrated here. And when we were returning home, he had a nice talk. And we know that the Derosians were involved in radical thinking and revolutionary writing and thought. So maybe he had these great ideas which he shared with his friends. And after that, he was returning home. When returning home, come, who will walk with me? A little way, I said, and lo, I straight was joined by three. I asked my friends, who will join me to go back home, just as all of you would ask your friends, who's coming to drop me? And immediately two boys, two young men said, yes, we will come. A third joined. This casual walk is going to make such a life changing event. Three whom I loved had two had high thoughts and were in age my peers. So two of these were very had very high thoughts, just like our Derozio. They were philosophers, young philosophers. And one was young. There was one just like a bunch of 12th graders who were studying this. You would have 11th grader along with you, maybe to discuss what you are going to do for arts day or talents day. And this younger person is so dear to those senior students because he is following them. And one was young and oh, endured as much as youth endures. His very youngness, his very freshness of ideas made him even more dear to those elder students. The moon stood silent in the sky and looked upon our earth, the clouds divided passing by in homage to her worth. So, this is very rich romanticism, imagery, personification of the moon. So, we have imagery, metaphor, personification already as devices. And the moon is silently standing and gazing upon the earth. The clouds are divided and they are passing by and they are paying respect or homage or piety to the moon. Yet again, we are reminded of Tintern Abbey. Wordsworth, in his Tintern Abbey, speaks about the beauty of the moon and the nature around him. He tells his sister Dorothy that when I look upon the moon and the nature around me through your eyes, I see yet again what I once saw in my youth. With your eyes, I see it all over again. There was a dance among the leaves, rejoicing at her power, who robes for them of silver weaves within one mystic hour. So the leaves were all dancing because the moon shone on them and they were made silver. They were dressed in glittery silver color. And he says, for one mystic hour, the leaves were enjoying being transported into that silvery moonlight. This makes us also think about the one mystic hour in life of youth when one is young. And it is the most beautiful part of any human life. But it is transitory and it will pass soon, just like a mystic hour in which the leaves dance before the moonlight.